Meghan Markle has been torn apart in Great Britain, and there's a case to be made. It's all because her mom is black.
It's a shame that she's being treated the way she's being treated. It's not like Harry married this ratchet, ignorant woman. He married a beautiful, classy, educated, woke woman who happens to have a parent of color. And if that's an issue for you instead of someone's character, then the royal family.
It's all very complicated. On one level, Meghan's background represented a change to the royals that would catapult them into the 21st century.
The idea that a beautiful, young, talented, biracial woman was marrying into the royal family was actually something that the British people celebrated, because Meghan represented something new.
Everyone loved it. Every front page of every paper, day in, day out. This is fantastic.
But there's definitely evidence Meghan was treated differently.
Examples abound. From the very beginning, saying that she was from gang-scarred Crenshaw, straight out of Compton was a headline one newspaper used. The idea that her DNA is exotic, that when she eats avocados, that links her personally to mass murder.
There have even been examples of racism inside the House of Windsor.
There have been some instances of racist behaviour among the royals. For example, Princess Michael of Kent wore an openly racist brooch at a meeting with Meghan Markle.
Utter nonsense. The British people are not a racist people. It is despicable of Harry and Meghan to play the race card in the way they have.
One of the most unsavoury aspects of this whole story has been the way certain fans of Meghan or certain journalists who support Meghan have tried to paint not only the British press actually, but the entire British society is somehow structurally racist. And it's just simply not true.
There's an undeniable truth. Meghan's virtues were minimized, her flaws maximized. But there's another sticking point that doesn't involve race.
I don't think racism has anything to do with it. If it's anything at all, if there is an ism there, I think it would be sexism.
Dr. Phil has a point, because Meghan is a woman with drive and a very strong point of view.
It is said that girls with dreams become women with vision.
This is interesting. Before she met Harry, Meghan talked to Larry King about bucking tradition.
It takes a lot of courage for anyone to be able to fight against what has been customary and say, even if we've been doing this for a long time, doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing that we should be doing.
And during the trip to Africa, she made it clear she is a strong, unapologetic feminist.
I want you to know that for me, I am here with you as a mother, as a wife, as a woman of color, and as your sister.
Meghan was a fully fledged person in her own right, and she was a strong person, an outspoken feminist. You know, we've not seen anyone like that marry into the royal family.
Meghan's dad thinks his daughter has been made a scapegoat to cover for Harry's shortcomings.
I think Harry's a very insecure man, and I think that that's being shifted onto my daughter, and I think she winds up mothering him.
We've spoken with someone in regular touch with the Duchess. Meghan's view and criticism is that a woman in the royal family is someone who looks pretty, will shut up, and never say anything controversial, something that suits the Duchess of Cambridge to a T.
Kate, of course, embodies the perfect future queen. She is elegant, polite, charming, correct. She never really wanted to cause immediate or great change. She entered the firm and slowly became part of it. Meghan has acted in a different way.
Kate Middleton didn't have a significant career before marrying Prince William. Meghan Markle did.
So, who's the victim? Guy I met online. Ah, one of those.
Don't judge. We're young. We're having fun.
And I cannot understand why the British media have always seen it as a negative thing, that she is somebody who doesn't come from privilege, actually, has worked really hard.
Meghan wants to change the world, you know, she wants to be like Michelle Obama or Hillary Clinton or Oprah Winfrey. And I think she soon realised that life in the royal family is quite limiting.
It's not sustainable in 2020 to say to a woman, as a wife, you should shut up and do what your husband tells you, or you should always take a back seat behind him. You should only support causes that seem harmless and unthreatening. That's not how women live now.
And the way Meghan and Harry live now is thousands of miles from his family. Coming up, if you think it was an impulsive decision to bolt, think again, because we know it was up to a year in the making.
The way it happened has caused a lot of pain, a lot of anguish. I was told that privately, the Queen has been devastated, heartbroken by this.
And later, will they make it in America?
They will have every opportunity that they want. I think the potential that Harry and Meghan have is unbelievable.
As much as they have an opportunity to build one of the most substantial personal brands in the world, all it takes is a second to destroy it.
Much more as Harry and Meghan, the Royals in Crisis, rolls on.
Masters, a new series being built in 1 week on Fox.
Good morning, Britain. Meghan Markle flees to Canada 24 hours after she and Harry quit royal family duties.
It seemed abrupt, incredibly impulsive, and for many Brits, enraging.
They've gone off to be the big stars of the family, and it's incredibly sad. I think it's very damaging. I think it will end in tears, and I fear it will end in Harry's tears.
Fact is, we know this was anything but impulsive. It was carefully, methodically planned for the better part of 2019.
Harry and Meghan's plans have been in the works for quite a long time. The trademarking, the setting up the website. There's a number of things we can point to that suggest that Harry and Meghan have wanted to make this switch.
Back in April, Harry announced a new project. He was co-producing an Apple TV series on mental health with none other than Oprah Winfrey, the profits going to mental health organizations. Another smoking gun, a splashy premiere of The Lion King back in July, when Harry leaned in on Disney chief Bob Iger, pitching Meghan for a job. Meghan was right there, making it clear to Lion King director Jon Favreau she was ready to sign on the dotted line.
Harry was basically aggressively pitching his wife for voiceovers with Disney. And we in Britain found that incredibly shocking, that Harry was basically behaving like a Hollywood agent.
And there's this. Meghan was getting the band back together.
I was pretty stunned when I found out that Meghan had assembled this crack team in Hollywood. You know, her old business manager was back, her old PR company.
In September, as they were hatching their plan, they were clearly reaching a breaking point.
Of course, there's a lot of stuff that hurts, especially when the majority of it is untrue. But all we need to do is focus on being real and focus on being the people that we are, and standing up for what we believe in. I will not be bullied into playing a game that killed my mum.
I never thought that this would be easy, but I thought it would be fair. And also, thank you for asking, because not many people have asked if I'm okay. But it's a very real thing to be going through behind the scenes.
I've gone to this continent, which is poverty-stricken, and they both give interviews all about them and the problems that they are facing as multi-millionaire, privileged members of the royal family.
Others were more sympathetic.
I think it takes a heart of steel to watch Meghan in that interview and not feel some sympathy for her.
Harry and Meghan's struggles were met by royal silence. And some say their public comments were passive-aggressive.
That seemed to me to be a very thinly veiled shot at the royal family. That people were not coming to her and saying, hey, how's this going for you? Can we help in some way?
It's not enough to just survive something.
right? Like, that's not the point of life.
I think at that point, she had kind of said, you don't much care about how this is affecting me, so I'm not going to care too much about how I'm affecting you.
A plan was being carefully crafted for some time in the future. But earlier this month, something happened that turned everything upside down.
What they hadn't counted on was the Sun leaking their plans, was the Sun blowing everything out of the water. They knew that once this news came out, it was going to be massive.
Harry and Meghan decided to beat the Sun newspaper to the punch and make the announcement themselves. Problem is, they blindsided their fellow royals, including the Queen.
The Queen was incredibly hurt by how Harry and Meghan went about this. The way it happened has caused a lot of pain, a lot of anguish behind the scenes. And yes, I was told that privately, the Queen has been devastated, heartbroken by this.
I think he's deeply regretted his actions since.
Our sources say the Queen pleaded with Harry and Meghan, but especially Harry, to reconsider. But he wasn't having it, and in the end, there was nothing she could do.
The Queen has given them license to go off and have their cake and eat it, and I think she's going to eat more cake than we've seen since Marie Antoinette.
Meghan and Harry checkmated the Queen into this situation.
But others say Harry had no choice.
If you try to have divided loyalties, that doesn't work. I mean, if you're saying, okay, my first loyalty goes to the monarchy here and my duty's there, my second priority is my spouse, my children, my family. I don't care where you live or what the structure is. That's not the natural order of things. And certainly if you're coming from outside that system, that's going to be real uncomfortable for Meghan, right?
And now the floodgates have opened for other royals, especially those who won't become king or queen, to bail on England.
I think we need every great royal we can get. We really do. And after the fiasco with Prince Andrew, I think we need Harry and Meghan. We need them there to carry on the tradition.
But the fact is, Harry and Meghan are now gone, possibly for good.
If it's we're going, we're coming, we're going, we're coming, that starts to become very confusing, and the monarchy can't afford for that to happen. And so I think really once Harry and Meghan have stepped away, they're going to be gone.
Coming up, now that Harry and Meghan have cut the cord, how are they going to pay the rent? We found billionaire status could be in their future.
I think this comes along maybe once in a generation or maybe never before.
Much more. Harry and Meghan, the royals in crisis, after this. Marriage. They've made the
10 episodes of Empire, March 3rd on Fox.
Harry and Meghan are already starting a second life in their short marriage. They've made the trek to Canada, where they will pay their own way. But how are they going to do that?
I think they can make a tremendous living. I think they can make a lot of money.
Ryan Seacrest helped create one of the biggest brands in the world with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. His money is on Meghan and Harry.
I think the potential that Harry and Meghan have is unbelievable. If you are a marketer, this is a dream. I think this comes along maybe once in a generation or maybe never before, where you've got royalty, where you've got relevance, where you've got a couple, you've got two individuals from different worlds who have built a family. So I think they will have every opportunity that they want. It'll be interesting to see which paths they choose.
As we told you, Meghan's already scored a voiceover role for Disney with a little help from Harry. And for his part, Harry's inked a deal to produce a docuseries on mental health for Apple TV with none other than Oprah Winfrey as his producing partner.
We were having a discussion about what are the things that really matter to you in the world, and I had asked Prince Harry that, and he said climate change and mental wellness. And I went, oh, gee, me too. So from there, the conversation went to, I said, I'm doing this thing for Apple. And when I finished the conversation, he said, oh, if you ever need any help with that Apple thing. Actually, I do.
So far, both Meghan and Harry are donating whatever they make to charities. but it's called show business for a reason. And Harry and Meghan could even give the Queen a run for her money.
Harry and Meghan are incredibly marketable. I've called them the new young Obamas.
Shark Tank star and Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, a multi-billionaire who has branded everything from computer systems to fake corned beef, says Harry and Meghan are gold.
They literally could become billionaires over the next 20 years. As long as they limit their projects and don't try to sell everything and anything, then they will have such a valuable brand that they'll be able to pick and choose whatever they want to do and just make an ungodly amount of money doing it.
Harry's doing all right.
James McCourt knows Meghan and Harry's bottom line, and one thing's for sure, it was already fact.
He's got around 40 million in the bank, and that's inheritance from the Queen Mother, inheritance from Diana, and also money passed down from Charles as well. And of course, Charles is also giving them money every year. And of course, Meghan had her own money.
But then the big question, what do they do?
They're going to have to weigh, I think, each opportunity that they get.
Judy Smith, the inspiration for the Olivia Pope character in Scandal, is a renowned crisis manager.
It is really about the subject matter, it's about the partnership, it's about the vehicle, and what you hope to accomplish. And all of those decisions have to be made with great deliberation.
So the obvious question, does Meghan Markle go back into acting?
Sometimes you only get one shot. Speaking of, how do I look? I do you. I'll consider it.
I think Meghan could go back into acting. She was a successful actress before she moved overseas, and now that she's coming back this way, I think she'll be presented with scripts and opportunities. So I do think she can make that crossover once again.
Well, I think it would depend on a whole host of factors, right? What's the show about? Does the show have a message, an uplifting, positive message? How does it play into what their brand and agenda is?
There are two things she shouldn't do.
I don't think she would go back to Suits.
Could Meghan Markle have a sex scene in a movie? No, because that would destroy their brand in a nanosecond.
As for Harry, he's more of an unknown, but incredibly marketable.
I don't think we totally grasp the full picture of him yet, but that's part of the beauty, is that there is this unknown and possibly unseen with Harry. He has not been exposed in entertainment in a big way. He's been living his life. Why, the docu world, the sports world, the adventure world, these are silos and genres which I think we could see Harry succeeding in.
The reality is just about any producer, any book publisher, just about anybody in entertainment would want to hitch their wagon to Meghan and Harry.
If either of them came on Shark Tank, I wouldn't even wait for them to pitch. I'd be like, I'm in, whatever you want, yes. Because they are so marketable. It would be so easy to develop products and projects for them, with them, and around them. It'd be, yes. Can you hook it up?
But not everyone sees it as smooth sailing.
If Meghan Markle thinks she's going to emerge from this as some kind of Princess Diana figure, she needs to think again. She's going to end up like a mini royal Kim Kardashian, with all the ignominy that goes with that title.
Seacrest says they could be as big as the fam he put on TV.
I know the Kardashians made a pact with the family when they started out on this journey to be open and honest and show the good, the bad, and the tough to the public. Whether Harry and Meghan want to do that, or need to do that, or have decided to do that, remains to be seen.
Coming up, could their big plan backfire?
I think that the press intrusion is going to be even more intense, and I do worry that at some point they're going to think, what have we done?
Plus, the story behind the broken bond between Meghan and her father.
I don't recognize the Meghan I knew. I don't recognize the friends that surround her.
Right after this.
Deserve it.
Sheriff Hollister definitely plays by his own rules.
Sorry, not quite housebroken yet. Deputy, all new tomorrow at 9 on Fox.
Harry and Meghan bailed from England, giving up their senior royal titles because they wanted a better future for themselves.
It's what I hope can be a more peaceful life.
On so many levels, Harry's frustrations are understandable. A husband and a father with a wife who was skewered in the press.
He'll always serve his queen and his country, but he now needs to serve Archie and Meghan.
Indeed, they desperately wanted to get as far away from the British media as possible, but that's more a dream than a reality.
That's wishful thinking.
Steve Ginsburg owns the Backgrid Paparazzi Agency.
Both of them are celebrities in their own right for their own reasons, and they're a huge global news story, so to think that they're going to get away from the media or the paparazzi, in my opinion, I just don't see it.
They may well find things are actually worse in Canada than Great Britain.
They won't have the protections that they had in the UK. A lot of the UK press are not able to cover the royal family, you know, with the long lens, with the paparazzi shots, because of different regulations that were brought into place after Diana's death. And now they're in a different country. None of that applies.
And check this out. Meghan has already threatened to sue the British media for publishing photos of her out with Archie and the dogs on Vancouver Island. That lawsuit would never fly in Canada.
I do worry that at some point they're going to think, what have we done? You know, we should have just stayed in the UK, where at least they had that kind of shelter of the palace walls. And now really it's them fending for themselves over in Canada.
If they end up in the US and we're told it may only be a matter of time until they migrate to Hollywood, the laws are even less protective. Case in point, Halle Berry threatened to move her and her daughter to France back in 2012. In the middle of her divorce from Gabriel Aubry, she went before the divorce judge, arguing the French paparazzi leave celebs alone. And the irony, of course, the French paparazzi are way more aggressive, and many say Princess Diana died as a result of out-of-control photogs. And speaking of Princess Diana, Harry and Meghan's move to Canada is something she'd understand.
I just think we all saw the evidence of Diana being such a wonderful mother and loving much, and that whole family unit that she fought for, the normalcy in their lives. And I understand there are parts of being, you know, in the royal family that must be extraordinarily challenging. I mean, that's why over the years we've seen very few commoners marry into the royal family.
If Harry and Meghan think the paparazzi won't get on a plane and fly to Canada, Hollywood, or any place else they land, well, they need to think again.
It doesn't matter if Meghan and Harry flew to Antarctica or to Canada or to either end of the world. Photographers and journalists are going to go there to cover this story. It's not about the geographical location. It's about the newsworthiness of this story.
So Harry and Meghan are starting a new life together in a faraway land. The big question, if it doesn't work out, can they ever go back to Great Britain?
I don't know how you come back to the institution of monarchy, because it's not just the Queen saying, yes, come back with open arms. You have to come back with the British public's acceptance as well. You know, the public is fickle, popularity is fickle.
And there are some, including Harry's estranged father-in-law, who fear he'll be a lost soul.
I don't know what Harry's going to do now. All of his friends are in England. All of his work was in England. Now he's going to Canada. What's he going to do?
He's going to kind of look around one day and think, it's just me, I'm on my own. And he doesn't really know how to live like a normal person.
There's another point of view. Another queen says, just leave Harry and Meghan alone.
When a person has sat and thought about what is the best decision I'm going to make for my family, and then he makes that decision, none of us have any right to say anything about that.
Here's what numerous people in the know have told us. Even if Harry never met Meghan, he still would have left the royal family because it's just not his thing.
I think in many ways, Harry, if he could have been born not a royal, I think in many ways he would have preferred it.
With all the frustrations, anger, and arguments, could Mexit spell the end of the monarchy as we know it?
If you end up having renegade royals running around the world like global celebrities, if you allow them to do that and to ruthlessly commercially cash in on their royal fame, that is the beginning of the end of the monarchy. And that's why I'm stunned the Queen's allowed them to do this.
The Queen is incredibly astute when it comes to making decisions that protect the crown. And if Harry and Meghan start to look like a liability, well, if they want back, They may find out Her Highness changed the locks.
Once you're gone, you're gone.
Even if the Queen shuts the door on Harry and Meghan, her dad says his door is always open for them.
I hope that they stay together and love each other and take care of their child and my grandson. And even if I never see them again, I wish them the very best. I still love them. But I hope that someday maybe we do get back together. But I'm 75, so there isn't a lot of time.
It gotta hurt.
Yeah.
One thing we've learned here at TMZ, you can never figure out what the future holds by looking at a moment in time. Harry and Meghan's story is far from over. This could prove to be a brilliant move or a spectacular misstep. One thing we know for sure, the world will be watching. I'm Harvey Levin,